Hi everybody, welcome to the introduction for lesson 8 in this second literature course. In this lesson, we'll be looking at compare and contrast. So in this first introduction video, we'll just be looking at some of the key words that you can be looking for in the passages that would show you a comparison or a contrast. And then as we go through the lesson, there's a few short passages that you can practice this skill in. Let's have a look together. So compare and contrast, you probably know this by now. We've looked at it in science and in social, but a comparison in the GED will always show you how things are similar, and a contrast will always show you how things are different. Now, I know that when we speak and we say compare, we might say compare to mean similar or different. But when we're doing the GED exam, comparison is meaning looking for something similar, and contrast is looking for something different. For each of them, there are some words to look out for. If you see and, also, likewise, in addition, or similarly, you will be looking at a comparison. All of these words introduce something to show how things are similar. On the other hand, although, however, yet, but, on the other hand, on the contrary, these words will all show you how something is different. So if you are asked for a comparison or a contrast, you should be on the lookout for some of these transition signals because they will help you to find the answer. Also remember, when you're comparing, we are saying how things are similar. That does not mean exactly the same. They can be a little bit different, but similar. So similar means what do they have in common? Let's have a little practice together. So we have a short passage and 3 questions. I would like you to pause the recording now and answer these 3 questions. Have you finished? Well, question number 1 says the passage is contrasting what with what. So a contrast, again, makes what is different. So commercial TV, once the undisputed king of entertainment and information, is facing a serious threat from cable television, and it appears to be losing the battle. With its seemingly endless number of channels, cable TV offers the viewing public an extensive menu of programming, while commercial TV is limited to the warmed over fare served up by the big 4 networks. Well, that word while means on the other hand. It's showing a difference. And we can see the word extensive and the word limited. Extensive means very big, limited means not so big. So we are comparing cable TV and commercial TV. And then question number 2, which word in the last sentence of the first paragraph shows or shows that a contrast is being made? Well, we already found it. That word while. While, whereas, however, all of these words show a contrast. Now, what adjectives in the second paragraph compare cable TV and commercial TV? So let's have a look at the second paragraph. In its effort to capture the interest of the American public, cable TV has excelled. So, excelled at television programs that are more imaginative, risk-taking, and thoughtful. Now we have that word than. Than is showing the comparison or the contrast. It's showing that we are gone from one item and now we're looking at the other item. So the other one, which is the commercial TV is insipid, predictable, and insulting. So cable TV is imaginative. There's a lot of creation. There's a lot of new things being used. Risk-taking means they will try new things that nobody has done before, even if they are not sure it will work. Thoughtful means they try to think of new things. They don't just repeat the same shows again and again. Insipid? Well, insipid means there's not a lot of thought gone into it. It's not very deep. It's not very meaningful. Predictable means we can guess what will happen. And insulting means that we do not think very highly of the people that are watching. So if the TV company is insulting, it means that they show very simple programs because they think their audience will like it. They have a low opinion of the audience. So the ones in green are for the cable TV and the ones in blue are for commercial TV. Well, here we have a second passage and a few questions to go with it. Pause the recording now and try to answer these questions. So number one, based on this excerpt, with what is TV being contrasted? Movies, the real world, or fantasy? Now, said Applebaum, have you ever said to a taxi driver, follow that car and don't lose him? Not really. Well, if you had, the driver would have told you to blow it out your ear. No taxi driver is in a mood to follow another car because that means he's going to get involved. But on TV, every cab driver looks as if he'd like nothing better to do than to drive 90 miles an hour through a rain-swept street trying to keep up with a car full of HUDs, that means criminals. And the worst thing is that the kids believe it. So the kids believe that that might really happen. So what is being compared? Well, on TV, a detective or the hero might tell a taxi driver to follow another car. But he says in real world, it would never happen. No taxi driver would really do that. So what is being compared is TV and the real world. And then number two, in the third paragraph, what subjects are being compared and contrasted? Well, you might think it's very similar, and it is very similar. Real taxi drivers and TV taxi drivers. I wrote real taxis and TV taxis, but it's the taxi driver, not the actual car itself. Also in the third paragraph, what word is a clue that two things are being contrasted? Which word shows that there's a difference coming? Well, it says but. So the first 2 and a bit lines talk about what would happen if you asked the taxi driver to do that. And the next couple of lines talk about the TV taxi drivers who are always wanting to do it. And the difference, the point where we move from real life into TV, is the word but. And but shows a difference or a contrast. So the answer for number 3 is the word but. Question number 4, based on the excerpt, which statement accurately compares real life and television? Television and real life are often indistinguishable. Indistinguishable means you cannot tell the difference. They are so similar, you do not know which one is which. But this third paragraph shows the difference between TV and real life. So answer A cannot be correct. B, television does not show the way things are in real life. That sounds like a good answer. The third paragraph shows about real taxi drivers and TV taxi drivers and how different they are. How about the fifth paragraph? Kids have a perverted, a distorted, a strange sense of what emergency wards of hospitals are really like. On TV shows, they take a kid to an emergency ward and 4 doctors come rushing down to bandage his leg. In a real life situation, the kid would be sitting on a bench for 2 hours before he even saw an intern. So, the real hospital, there is a long wait. If you go in with something that is not very serious, you have to stay in the waiting room for several hours. But on TV, you go straight into the ward and many doctors run up to help you. That's the difference between real life and TV. Also, on TV, there always happens to be a hospital bed available when the kid needs it. What the kid in this country don't know is that sometimes you have to wait 3 days to get a hospital bed, and then you have to put a cash deposit of $500 down before they give it to you. So this is the difference. On TV, there are always hospital beds available. In real life, you might have to wait several days, especially in America. Not in England. In England, there would be hospital beds available, although you might have to travel some distance. But in America, remember, this is where there is no free healthcare, and so you have to pay. So this is showing how things are different between real life and on TV. However, the question is asking you to compare, and compare means to show how things are similar. So on TV, there are taxi drivers. In real life, there are taxi drivers. On TV, there are hospitals, and in real life, there are also hospitals. So there are the same places, the same things on TV and in real life. So the same things shows a comparison. If you chose answer B, then you were thinking of a contrast, not a comparison. The passage does contrast real life and TV, but this question is wanting something similar. Well, that's the end of this introduction. There are quizzes available on Moodle, so please go and work through those.